Download the My Hingham app today and report issues and get information on town government with ease. Available on the App Store and Google Play. You can submit service requests or gain information with just a few taps on your phone. Using the My Hingham app puts immediate access to town resources in the palm of your hand, including calendars of meetings and events, agendas for upcoming meetings, building permit filing options, online bill payment options, and info about our boards, committees, departments, and services. For more information, please scan the QR code on your screen.
All right, good evening. It is 6:03 on February 26th, 2026. Meeting of the Hingham Select Board is called to order. I'm going to note for the record that this meeting is being held in person and or remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025 and all other applicable laws temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. If any participant wishes to record this meeting, please notify the chair at the start of the meeting in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20F, so that the chair may inform all other participants of said recording. Is anyone recording tonight's evening? All right, seeing none, I know for the record that participating in tonight's meeting are board members Julie Straley, Liz Klein, and myself, William Ramsey, Chair. For those who are willing and able, please stand and face the flag of our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I don't believe we have any minutes this evening. Nope. Is that correct? All right, that will take us to agenda item 4, which is discussion and possible votes on the 2026 annual town meeting warrant articles. We're going to start tonight with Article Y, which is the sale of 8 Short Street. So, Art, you going to take this?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Article Y and Article Z are focused on doing very similar things, but in different town-owned properties. Each article asks town meeting to allow, but not require, the select board to sell these properties, both of which are unused. Article Y speaks specifically to 8 Short Street.
All right, can you unmute? There you go.
Article Y speaks to 8 Short Street, the former Tree and Park Barn. Just by way of a little background, built in 1857. Over the years, it served many town uses, including as a school, hosting the town draft board during World War II, longtime home for the town's tree, as the term's Tree and Park Barn, and has been in more recent years leased to a private user. The property sits on about 12,000 square feet of land. It includes centers on a 2-story building, which is of about 5,000 square feet, including two floors and an attic. It's located in the Business A district, which allows for commercial, retail, office, or mixed use. This property is not on sewer. It's served by on-site septic, which limits its development capacity somewhat. And this property, while historic in nature, lies outside an historic district. And Article Y would require a preservation restriction as a condition of sale. If you're comfortable, I'll speak to Article Z and maybe talk about them together, or...
Sure, go to Article Z too, that's fine.
They're similar in many respects. Article Z also authorizes the select board to sell the property if it determines it's in town's interest to do so. 230 North Street's the former North Fire Station, built in 1942. It sits on about 0.4 acres of land and is a single-story structure of about 4,700 square feet. That centers on a a garage that protected hot fire apparatus, as well as living quarters and day room and kitchen. This property is on town sewer, which enhances its development potential. Right now, the property is zoned as open and official space, and another town meeting warrant article labeled DDD, advanced by the planning board, would change the zoning for this property to Business A, which would allow this property to be used for commercial, retail, office, or mixed use. This particular property lies within an historic district, so the property is subject to the rules of that historic district, which really focus on preserving the exterior look and footprint of the building, which would basically not be allowed to change. And in this case, a preservation restriction would not be required. So for each of these, with a positive vote from town meeting, the select board would be allowed to sell both properties. We have appraisals in hand for both properties that will pretty much let us know of a market-based floor price for each property. So at time of sale, we can ensure that we're getting good value for the sale for each property. And I guess most importantly, the sale of each property brings immediate as well as ongoing benefits for the town. First and foremost, sale of each will generate new revenue, and per Mass General Law, proceeds of these sales, retail, of any real property sale the town may engage in, are restricted to use for capital expenditures, so they can help us with our capital challenges down the road. Through sale, each of these properties will ultimately land in private hands, which can generate ongoing property tax revenue. Through a sale, we're removing these buildings from the town's capital and maintenance burden, which will help free town resources for other projects. And last but not least, in private hands, these properties will remain in active and dynamic use and will be best positioned to be not just retained, but preserved over the long term.
Great. All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate the work you and Tom have done to prepare these articles. When we met as a board in the spring, one of our goals was to find alternative ways to raise revenue for the town. We talked about one article last week. This is another way that we can raise some additional revenue. These buildings do not have an active use. They're opportunity to bring in some much-needed money to the town. I will tell you that several people have reached out to me who are interested in purchasing both properties. Obviously, there's going to be a public procurement process that we'll follow, and we'll do that according to Mass General Law. But there is interest in these properties, which is great, and I do think we desperately need additional revenue sources, and these two properties are ways that we can work toward that objective. So with that, I'll turn it over to Liz.
Excellent. Thank you, Art, for the presentation and the work on this. I agree. We've been looking for other revenue-generating sources and vehicles. This was a recommendation of the Sustainable Budget Task Force several years ago. So excited to see this moving forward. I think it makes a lot of sense, and I'd like to see the funds go to the Capital Stabilization Fund. As you mentioned, it would go towards other capital needs. It cannot be used for the operating budget, just so people are aware of that. But we know we have ongoing capital needs, so I think it's a good use of those funds and makes sense for us to think about disposing of these properties.
Great. Julie?
Thank you, and I echo what Liz said, that we should have the recommended motion for this article or request that the funds, proceeds from these two sales go to the Capital Stabilization Fund, so that fund was created at annual town meeting 2023 for the sole purpose of setting aside funds that can be used for future capital projects. And as we know, we have buildings in this town that have capital needs, and I am in favor of taking two buildings that are not in use right now to have somebody else use them and not have to be something that the town has to maintain going forward. So I am in favor of this. Thank you.
Great. All right, any members of the public have any questions or comments about the agenda? Mr. Orr, come on up to the lectern, just state your name and address, sir, and you'll have 2 minutes.
Dick Orr, 17 Levitt Street, and I am the major abutter to the Tree and Park building. I also was the renter there for the past 12 years. And as the major abutter to the property, I just have a concern regarding the historic preservation attachment that you've been discussing, what the extent of that might be. I'm, of course, very concerned about the aesthetics of the structure, but also that street is really, as you well know, is increasingly dangerous. In the 12 years I was in that building, every year there were more fender benders out there and everything else. So that would be a very important consideration. I was just hoping maybe you could explain what that historic preservation might entail.
Well, fundamentally, a historic preservation restriction would be held by a third party, and it would essentially require the buyer to maintain the exterior and the footprint of the building in it pretty much as it is now, so that the look of the building and its position and how it relates to the rest of the neighborhood essentially remains unchanged.
Okay.
So it relates primarily to the exterior of the building.
Right. And Art, would that be all 4 sides of the building and the garage, do you know, that exists there? The separate, there's actually 2 buildings, the major one and a separate garage.
Well,
I know, getting into the weeds here, but I thought.
that's an important question, because I know the Historic Districts Commission will focus on portions of the building that are visible to the street, and that there may be a little bit more flexibility when thinking about the rear of the building, which does not present to the street or is otherwise visible to the public, to the best of my knowledge.
So that would be an issue for the historic committee?
Potentially.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mr. Orr, thank you. Anyone else? Art, can you pull the Zoom up for me? See if we get some individuals on Zoom.
We have at least one.
There's a hand up.
Ben Burnham?
Ben Burnham. Ben, good evening. The name and address, please.
Hi, Ben Burnham, 11 Downing Street, AdCom. I am your liaison on this particular article, Article Z. Art, could you pull up Article Z? I just see Y.
Yes. Oop.
Oh, okay, thank you. My question is about the preservation restriction. I see that it's written here in the article, but Art, I thought I heard you say that there would not be a preservation restriction because this is within the historic district?
For 230 North, that's correct. It would be, in this case, redundant. So if we have
So-
language here, I think that we would want to consider amending it.
Bill, can I jump in?
Sure, Tom, go ahead.
I think that can probably be done within the scope of the article with the motion by AdCom. When we put these articles together, we weren't sure if the preservation restriction was going to be needed or not. And if it isn't, we can work that through with the Historic Preservation Committee and just remove that language from the motion. If you don't want to change it on the fly now.
Okay, Attorney Coughlin was asking me some questions because I had excluded it, and so he thought that maybe I either made a mistake or it was dropped, so.
But my point is, I think we have time to make that decision as the motion gets crafted, Bill, so that you guys don't have to worry about changing the language in the article unless you want to.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, why don't we loop in John and Susan on the discussion with AdCom to see how the article, if it needs to evolve or not. It can always come back and we can revote it if necessary. My understanding was the restriction on Short Street was because it received CPC funding at one point, and the CPC funding created the restriction. Is that correct, Julie? Would you know?
I'm not sure, I don't remember if the preservation restriction was in place or not, but it did receive community preservation funding in the historic category.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. Ben, thank you for the question. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
I'm not seeing any. sure. No.
Okay, with that, if you're inclined, I would take a motion on Article Y.
I'll make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article Y, sale of 8 Short Street.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously, and I would take a motion on Article Z.
I'll make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article Z, sale of 230 North Street.
Second.
All those in favor, Julie?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. That takes us to Article CC, which is Fire Civil Service. Believe we have the chief with us this evening, who's going to present,
He's online. We'll bring him in.
or?
Bill, if you'd like, I can initiate and then Chief can jump in.
Go ahead. Deputy Chief Levinson's here as well. So, but Tom, why don't you start us off?
Sure. So the departure from the civil service is an initiative that was begun by the town at the recommendation of both Chief Murphy and Chief Jones. We've been having this conversation for several years. It's based in part in our difficulty filling vacancies in both the fire department and the police department. The civil service parameters for hiring make that a difficult reality for a town like Hingham. It's important to note that the civil service, in fact, only governs public safety departments. These two particular articles would allow for an appropriation to make negotiated payments to the union members of both the police unions, there are 2 police unions, superiors officers and patrol officers, and then the fire union. We only needed 2 articles for those, 1 article for the police and 1 article for fire. But the payment would be used to, the appropriation would be used to make payments to the union members of both, or all 3 of those articles across both of those departments. The select board and the unions have in fact approved the MOA that spoke to the negotiated result of departure from civil service. And the last thing I wanted to note is that we are negotiating actively a revocation agreement, and that the final language of that revocation agreement must be approved by the select board prior to any payments being made. So getting this appropriation is in fact an isolated component of the negotiated result for civil service departure. So I just wanted to note all of that. I'm sure Chief Murphy, if he's on Zoom, or the deputies can fill in more.
Chief, do you want to add to that?
No, I think Tom summed it up. Just, a little history on this. This has been something that was discussed actually pre-COVID. And then the town had some, reservations about it at the time, and we withheld it. But as Tom mentioned, this was something that was initiated in the last bargaining sessions by the town, and the hope is that this is going to help us fill vacancies that civil service restricts us on how we can hire. Specifically, we would be able to hire candidates that are in paramedic school that are not Hingham residents. And we frequently get candidates that come to us looking to, do that. And then by the time that they become a paramedic, they've usually taken a job in another community that's not civil service. So,
Chief, thank you very much. All right, with respect to CC, well, I do have one quick question, Chief Murphy. Obviously, one of the issues that's near and dear to my heart for obvious reasons is civil service providing a veteran's preference for hiring within the fire service. Am I correct that the veterans policy would still be preserved through the CBA and through department policy?
So Tom just referenced the language that would apply for the rules and regulations. And interestingly enough, there is no provision in that on the hiring policy because the union doesn't actually have a real say in hiring or anything else. So it's something that, I would like to include them in the conversation, but that would be up to, I believe it would probably be this board as to decide what the hiring restrictions are. Specifically, what other communities will do is they will give preference to residents, they will give preference to veterans. There's also the age restriction that currently exists under civil service, which, as you know, it's 32 if they're not a veteran, and it can bump it up to 36 as a veteran. So that's something that we would have to kind of come up with our own internal policy. And again, I believe this would be a John Coughlin question or maybe a Kevin Feely, but I believe it would be something that would be approved by the select board.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, Bill. That revocation agreement language needs to be approved by the select board or none of this happens. So you'll have full access to that language and to make sure it includes everything that the three of you are looking for prior to finalizing any of that language.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to working on that policy for residents and for veterans. And I would note that this was discussed during bargaining with the firefighters union. The next article was birthed from bargaining with the police union. So the unions have had say into this matter during negotiations. And for people who don't know, the civil service restrictions on hiring, as Chief indicated, are very, very difficult for us. I think we've lost candidates over the years. We've had to run lists multiple times over years when we didn't have openings. I remember a high school classmate of mine, his dream was to be a firefighter, and he started off as an attorney, didn't really work out very well, but he was an EMT. And he said to me, anyway, I can go to the fire department. And he's in great shape and everything. I said, well, I think you can get an age waiver. Let me see. And I said, Steve, he's a high school classmate of mine. And Chief's like, well, no way he's getting on. He's way too old. So, but maybe now we can, maybe now he can apply. We'll see. All right, Julie, do you have any questions?
Well, I have a question that relates to both of those articles, so I'm not sure if I'm allowed to get ahead
Sure, if
of
you want.
the
I
other
mean,
two
it-
articles,
it's
but these articles do go hand in hand, and I just wanted to clarify or find out, just so that people know, the total dollar amount or the appropriation total across both articles that represent the payment to the employees.
So so we're working on that final number, Julie. I anticipate there's approximately 100 beneficiaries. That's $7,500 each. That's approximately $750,000 for the article. Or
Okay.
for the combined two articles.
Okay, thank you. And
You're welcome.
I'm supportive of taking on new initiatives and trying something different, such as leaving civil service that's been discussed for a long time, in order to give the town better flexibility in hiring for police and fire. So,
Liz?
Great, thank you. I agree. This is something we've been talking about for years, and I know it was the recommendation from both Chief Murphy and Chief Jones. We have a recruiting issue for public safety professionals, so that we've been looking for tools to help us with recruiting and retention, and I think this is an important one. As has been mentioned, the unions were involved in this discussion during the collective bargaining process, as well as the personnel board. We haven't mentioned them yet, but they had an active role in this, and they've approved this language, correct, Tom?
Yes, that's correct. Sorry, I should have mentioned that they were front and center on the negotiations with both police and fire, as always. And yes, their input was clear, and they have voted to support both articles.
Great. Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Do any members of the public have any questions about the fire civil service article? None in the room. Can you pull up the Zoom, please? Okay, with that, I'd take a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article CC, Fire Civil Service.
second,
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. That takes us to Article DD, which is Police Civil Service. Deputy Chief O'Shea, you want to come up and present?
Same as the fire, really. We're just, same idea. I'll bore you with a little history lesson. The civil service was enacted in 1884, so a different time, right? And the concern at the time was that public jobs were being given away for votes. So They put in a merit-based system, which made sense at the time, but that was 140 years ago. We now have state ethics commissions, we have other boards that oversee things. We really have kind of moved on from that, and as you mentioned, it's very restrictive. A great example I like is Cohasset Police is out of civil service. They've been out for 3 years, but in 2022, they had no female officers, so they asked for a female list so they could diversify the department, and civil service said no for some reason. So, what good is it really, It's a lot of bureaucracy, it's a slow process. If we come out of civil service, we can give our own exam. The exam can be online, it could be through an app. There's a couple different companies that do that. And we can have results in days and have candidates going in a week or two. I mean, we send out cards, and then we get a few candidates, we don't get enough, we have to send more cards. One of the hiring processes we went through processes ago, we had to send out 75 cards. So we got 75 people down on the list before we got candidates. So it's very frustrating. So we're looking forward to coming out. And any questions?
Just to confirm, and this, like I asked Chief Murphy, this was also supported by the two police unions, correct?
100%, yeah, they've been working with Chief Jones, and yes, everybody's in agreement that this is going to be a positive for the department. And the officers that are in the civil service now that are currently employed retain their status too, so they will hold their status, and then any new officers that hired will be outside of the civil service process.
Great. Liz, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Julie?
No questions, thank you.
Any members of the public have any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I take a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article DD, Police Civil Service.
Second.
All those in favor, Julie?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well, motion carries unanimously. Chief Murphy, Chief Levinson, Chief O'Shea, good to see you. Thank you. Thank you for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is Article Q, which is the Library Chiller Replacement Project. I see Linda Harper-Stone has arrived. Linda, how are you? Come on up, and if you could present on the article, that'd be great.
Okay, so Article Q, we have the library chiller replacement project. So just really quickly, the library chiller is 25 years old. It's now failing. Anytime something breaks on it, Mike
Oh,
closer,
Mike.
he's waving to me. Is that better? Okay, thank you. The library chiller is over 25 years old. It's, at this point, when it fails, we have to have parts rated off old machines. Once they are no longer able to find any parts, they'll have to be manufactured. It is at the end of its useful life. So we've engaged in an engineer to do preliminary schematics, at which we have a cost estimate of about $1,800,000. It's actually $1,810,084. Those are preliminary, so right now they're doing the final construction documents, what it would take to replace the whole system. Those documents will be done in the next couple weeks, at which point we're going to get a final cost estimate on it, which will be, I'm expecting it to be around the same ballpark. But it will be, I'm sorry, but it will be.
No, I was watching.
Hold up, can you mute Ben?
I'm the liaison on that article that you
Hold up,
just discussed.
here we go. All right, sorry about that.
Okay, is someone,
No, I think Ben was saying might be the liaison on this one, too. He did a lot of assignments this year, but go ahead. We'll go.
oh, okay. Should I, anyone want to keep going? Okay, so what we are doing is we're going to ask for the money to replace our library chiller so that the library stays cool in the summer. We're a town cooling center. It's really important, as you all know who have been there. We serve a lot of people, students, kids, adults, everyone of all ages. So we really want to make sure that we don't have any service interruptions. To do so, we have to get the system through one more season. So this summer, we're going to be doing everything we can to make sure it continues to provide cooling, at which point, if this is approved at town meeting, then we'll have the money to have it replaced for the next season, and it'll tie in with our existing system.
Great. All right, and what's the anticipated cost of it?
Right now, the initial preliminary cost estimate is about $1,800,000. We get the final construction documents, we're going to have that redone to fine-tune it. The final cost ultimately will depend when we put it out to bid, so whatever the market bears, but at least we'll know what the cost should approximately be. So that's the amount we'll ask for, and then we'll work on the bidding process to see what people actually bid on the job.
Great. Well, I know this has been a major capital priority for the library. As Linda indicated, it's failing, it's costing us money to repair it, the parts issue is getting costly. I'd also note that the library serves as a cooling center. When we have those 100-degree temperature days in July and August, the library is a designated cooling center, so another reason to support this article. So thank you, Linda. Let me turn it over to Liz.
Thank you, Linda. I know we've been talking about this for quite some time, and it's certainly necessary. Just to confirm, this is a full replacement, so we're not doing any more maintenance on the old system. This is a brand-new
No,
system.
the old system goes away.
Yes.
And we're happy to see it go.
Yes, I know it's difficult to, well, nearly impossible to maintain at this point.
At this point, yes.
They don't make the parts anymore. And the engineer is designing, is it in like a total HVAC system or just?
No, so back in, I think about 2016, 17, somewhere in there, we redid the heating side of it. So this is just the cooling. So
Okay.
this is the chiller part of it, the fan coil units to, push the cold air around. It will tie into our existing building management system, which is the controls that we use to access and fine tune all the, the cooling and heating of each room. So those will be reused because they're already working just fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Julie, any questions?
Yeah, Tom, can you state what the source of the funding is for the procurement of this chiller?
Sure, this is part of our planned use of excess fund balance this year, and it fits within our financial objectives and our the amount of available excess fund balance.
And the financial policy, which we could use unassigned fund balance to pay for one-time capital needs such as a large expenditure such as this.
That's right.
Okay, and then my other question is, I'm assuming because it's a new chiller, the technology would catch up, that it's a little bit more green in terms of its efficiency. Do you know anything about what's been selected?
No, the actual piece has not been selected yet. We know, obviously, anything that's 25 years newer is going to be a little more energy efficient. It is an electric system, so there's no emissions, there's no gas or anything like that. So at least for green, we're using electric. I'm assuming there will be energy efficiency savings on it, but those, remain a little bit in the future.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
No further questions.
Any members of the public have any questions or comments? Mr. Carey, come on up.
Tom Carey, 1131 Main Street. I have served on the operations committee of the library for a number of years. I go back far enough to remember when we were doing the expansion of the library. And I want to report simply that the operations committee has been looking to get this done for a number of years, and the vote of the Board of Trustees in support of this request was unanimous.
Tom, thank you very much. Anyone else? If we could just hit the Zoom one more time to see if anybody has their hand up. I don't think anybody did, but. All right, not seeing any. Okay, are we ready to proceed?
Yeah.
Liz?
Yes.
I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article Q, Library Chiller Replacement Project.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Linda, thank you very much.
That's great.
All right,
Thank
see
you.
you.
We'll see you there in the summer.
Yes.
We gotta go to AdCom first and town meeting, but yes, hopefully. All right, next item up is Article P, which is the construction of this, construction of the Center for Active Living. I'm gonna take this article a little differently tonight. What I'm gonna do is, Tom's gonna lead a presentation tonight, and then I'm gonna take public comment first. All right, so if anybody wants to speak, you'll have your time to talk after the presentation. And then I'll close public comment and the board will deliberate. So we'll do it a little differently tonight so the board can hear and take in public comment before we vote. So, all right, Tom, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Great, thank you. The Art is going to share. Okay, so this is intended to be a pretty brief, high-level overview of really what's happened, frankly, over the last 13 years, but what's led us to this point. Next slide. So we have an article. I'll just read this article. This is the formal article that the select board placed on the warrant back on at the beginning or in mid-January. Will the town raise and appropriate, borrow, or transfer from available funds an amount of money to be expended under the direction of the select board to be used to pay for the construction of a new center for active living, including all professional fees, equipment, and furniture associated therewith at a site located off Bear Cove Park Drive, Hingham, Mass, or act on anything related thereto. We heard in January, at the end of January, I think it was, early January maybe, from Dan Pilata, who might be in the room there, our owner's project manager, a cost estimate of $29,900,000. And that is, as of today, that is still our projected cost. Next slide. Just real quick, again, high-level background. Beginning back in 2013, the town has been considering a new senior center, now known as a CAL. Several town meeting votes have occurred that formalized as well as a siting process between the select board and the building committee that formalized a review of sites at Town Hall and Bear Cove Park Drive to house a new center for active living. Bear Cove Park Drive was selected as the appropriate site after a lengthy public process, and a preliminary design was completed by the town's consultant for that site. The preliminary design, which was completed by the architecture team and supported unanimously by the building committee, was approximately 28,000 square feet with an estimated cost of $35 million. That's what was brought to town meeting in 25, and again, that was a preliminary design. After some value engineering efforts were made, the size of the project was whittled down by a little less than 10%, about 9.6%, resulting in a new square footage of 25,950 square feet. Some parking was reduced that matches the planning regulations in the town. There is expansion for parking should we need it, of an overflow area that could be developed, but we don't know if we will need it permanently or not, so we won't project that into the project just yet. Several initiatives were made to reduce the space, including space removals. We did some space reductions, and then of course there were other changes that happened over several month review by the building committee. Next slide. Along the way, the HCAL program, the building committee, and our program director, Jennifer Young, and her staff have been actively evaluating the potential for fee-based revenue to offset the cost of added staff to operate a larger, more dynamic center for active living. Marshfield's new CAL has been used as a guide, and we anticipate some significant usage increases and subsequent revenue opportunities to result once we have this new and larger and dynamic CAL that we hope will attract more participation. By locating the CAL on Bear Cove Park Drive, there are significant tertiary benefits, including outdoor and intergenerational programming available. And you can see some of those ideas that we've included in photos down below. I believe, is that the end of it, Art?
Yes.
That is, again, a very high level overview. I just wanted to touch base on some of the highlights along the way. And I know Mr. Carey, the chair of the building committee, and is available for questions. I believe Dan is there, but I'm also available if there's any other questions. I just wanted to set the table, Bill.
Tom, thank you. Tom Carey, I know you spoke the other night, Tom. Do you have anything to add to the presentation? No. Okay. Okay. All right. Jennifer, anything to add? No. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do now, as I said earlier, I'm going to open up for public comment. I know we have a lot of people in the room, so I'm going to hold it to 2 minutes. If you could just approach the lectern, state your name and address. You have 2 minutes to speak. Does anyone in the room like to speak first? Oh, come on up.
My name is Mary Ann Carnes. I live at 111 Downer Ave, and I'm opposed to this due to the cost and the fact that we just built Foster School and the big police and fire. Thank you.
Marion, thank you. Anita, come on up.
Anita Ryan, 37 Baker Hill Drive. I'll just start with a question for Tom. Tom, you had a picture of golf carts in your presentation, and I just wanted to understand, I believe that one of the rules of Bear Cove Park is that there's no motorized vehicles inside the park. Are you suggesting that that would be changed?
Not necessarily. It's an intent, Anita, to show that that there would be increased participation in the park by seniors who actively right now are not engaged in that participation in the park. So if they can enjoy the park, that there might be new ways of getting them around in there. I would think that we would be able to do something and work something out so that if we had a golf cart option for seniors, we would make that work.
Okay. I would just add a brief comment. Considering what happened today with the evacuation of kids from Plymouth River School, while I am all in favor of a wonderful, vibrant senior center, I just don't think this proposal is the right one for our town. I think we struggle to take care of the buildings we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in the room? Come on up. Him first. Come on, yes, sir.
John Hornstra, 3 Lozelle Street. I hear we're liquidating our assets because we're broke, it sounds like. And I really don't think we're responsibly spending tax revenue on something that I really don't think we need. I hope my children can afford, I'm 4th generation living in this town, and really concerned. I see a lot of towns overspending and coming to everyone for 2.5 overrides. And it's kind of hard when you look at your tax bill and think about spending $30 million on a senior center. What will happen with the former police department area now that the police department has moved to the shipyard? I went to school here. There was a lot of square footage there that I thought that was the agreement when we voted on the new police station, was we were going to utilize that for the senior center.
Sure. So I'll answer your question briefly. In terms of using that space for the senior center, that was studied for at least a year by the building committee. There were significant issues with parking and how parking would be accommodated. There were objections by butters, by sports organizations, by seniors themselves. That was run to ground and ultimately did not prove to be feasible. There is a feasibility study if you'd like to look in more detail on it. In terms of what the plans will be for the current building, we have discussed with the school department a school program going in there that would save the school budget a good amount of money. We're in discussions with the state and the SHREC. The SHREC is the Social Regional Emergency Center, about expanding down there. They're very interested in expanding in a big piece of it. And just last month, Tom and I met with another potential organization that wants to go in and use the space as well. So we have some opportunities to utilize that space and to bring in some additional revenue for the town.
Well, that's nice to hear, because driving by the old DPW garage, driving by the old light department plant, it seems like there's a lot of real estate in this town that's getting underutilized, and it's hard to see it not being utilized.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for the comments and questions. Anybody else? Yvette, go ahead.
Yvette Cantor, 442 Main Street. When we talk about cost, 30 million is not a small number, but neither was 113 million, 47 million, 100 million. I'm forgetting something or two. This town, so first of all, 30 million is a lot. The number that it's going to cost you and me is $174 a year if your house is worth 1.1 million. Someone keep me honest. $174 a year. That's what it will cost to take care of our seniors a year. I do appreciate what people are saying about spending, about how we run our town. And broadly, I've certainly been happy with how the town has run. But there was a period when we didn't spend, we didn't collect enough taxes, we didn't assess houses. And right now, we're paying for those sins. We've watched other towns put things off like we have, and we've watched it cost us more money. There's going to be a senior center. There's going to be a center for active living. This has been researched to nauseam for over 5 years. It's been through 2 town meetings, 200 open meetings. 200. So when we talk about transparency, it's there. And it's all on the town website for people to see. Now is the time to do this. I have been involved for a couple of years, sitting beside the building committee and riding their tush a bit, to be fair. And I've watched them really step up and really listen. The people we have had worked on this, the vendors that we hired have been exceptional, and I build offices for a living. I understand all the challenges that we have in front of us, but at the end of the day, we should be taking care of our seniors. And for the people who haven't sat there for years or decades, like Beth has, I'm very happy to have a conversation and show you everything, because it is daunting to go through everything that's been done. But I promise you, there's a lot there. It's worth reading, it's worth understanding, and more than anything, it is worth considering what will happen if we don't do this for our seniors. I know you're taking a vote tonight. I would hope it would be unanimous. Thank you.
Anyone else in the room? Go ahead.
My name's Hillary Aborn. I live at 27 Kimball Beach Road, lifetime Hingham resident. And I feel strongly that Bear Cove Park is a precious resource for all of us, of all ages. I'm there every day. I'm walking. It's a place of peace and serenity. I've made a lot of friends there. And, you know, of all ages, people are walking and enjoying the nature and the beauty of Bear Cove. And I think we're really lucky to have it. There's so much wildlife. I'm always seeing owls, and the area that you're considering building the senior center, I know for a fact there are great horned owls living there, nesting. I'm not sure if they're having babies, but I hope so. And I do know that birds like that need established woodlands. They will not live anywhere that's not an old established place. I see barred owls, I see deer, I see stag deer. So these are big male deers. And when I get there, sometimes, because I walk my dog there, I see groups of younger women strolling their children, walking together, being outside, getting fresh air, getting some peace, getting some serenity, and they're involved with each other. I see seniors there walking. I don't like the idea of golf carts going through the Bear Cove. And I also feel, losing my train of thought. Oh, so I'm a resident of Crow Point, and I did go through the building of Foster School, which I think was necessary and I voted for. But the noise level of construction in this town is crazy. I'm with even leaf blowers and stuff. The construction noise that will go on for I don't know how long if the senior center is built is just, it's going to be degrading to my peace and my serenity, and I think everyone's peace and serenity that go there on a daily basis. So that's what I had to say.
Great, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? Go ahead.
I know.
Sharon Hampton, 29 Kimball Beach Road. When I think of our senior center for active living, the space is what I'm talking about. Only one word comes to mind: embarrassing. What Jennifer and her staff do to serve the seniors in our community within the tiny 5,000 square foot space is truly amazing. I volunteer there one day every week, so I see what goes on. But with more space in an updated, modern facility, it could and will be so much more. Our senior population, as we've heard countless times, have supported the Hingham school system upgrades for years, both when raising their own kids, growing up in town, and for many years beyond. Now is the time to request community support for the seniors who have been waiting over 20 years for a proper center. I urge you to support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Anyone else in the room? Jean, come on up.
Jean Silverio, 6 Autumn Circle. I spoke before the advisory committee, but I think it's time that I'm going to repeat what I said to them. I've lived at Autumn Circle for more than 52 years. I'm on the COA board and the HCAL building committee. I've worked hard to make the new center a reality. Suffice it to say, I'm on a lot of committees with the sole purpose of making the center the best it can be. You've heard all the data, the cost, the square foot, the location. I'm here to speak from personal experience with what the HCAL programs have meant to me and will continue. When I retired after teaching for 36 years, I took care of my granddaughter. She was my retirement package. When she went to school full-time, I said, now what? Since I worked full-time, I didn't have the luxury of lunch and other such activities with women my age. I had teacher friends and high school friends, but not so many in-town friends to fill the day. I found out about the senior center, saw what it offered, and joined 14 years ago and never looked back. As my Latin school appearing, as Cicero once said, non nobis solum nati sumus. We are not born to be alone. With this in mind, there are so many benefits I've received from the center. I've met new friends. I'm happier. I'm not lonely. My daughter is proud and happy that I have a place to go with so many wonderful friends. She doesn't have to worry about me. When my husband was in hospice, many of these friends visited and brought me coffee and muffins. At this sad time, my son-in-law changed his work schedule to 4 10-hour days to come stay with my husband, Gene. He was a Gene, too. So I could go to exercise at the senior center and socialize with my friends. I also hired a nurse for 3 hours so I could go to the senior center. I started a book club which is still functioning after 10 years. We've read over 110 books. We had a wonderful Valentine's Day luncheon with a waiting list. I particularly love the Discovery Lifelong Learning Program. This program is an example of what popular programs where seniors are placed on a waiting list. If they can make it, they can't find a place to park. I have a sense of purpose. I believe I've made a difference. We just don't want a new center. We need a new one. There are so many programs we can offer: a cafe for socializing, adult daycare, woodworking, bocce, pool. Please, don't let us down. We're worth it.
Thank you, Jean. All right, let's go to Zoom, see if anybody in the Zoom wants to comment now. We just see a couple hands up. Let's go to, let's go down in order. So Gary, is it Gary? Hirschberger? Sorry, I'm sorry if I, go ahead, Gary. My apologies, mispronouncing your name. It was Hansberger. There you go.
Yes, I am Gary Hansberger. I live at 121 Holstead Drive. I'm 65 years old now, so presumably I am one of the seniors that allegedly will benefit from this center. I don't want it. I would much, much, much rather have our parks left intact. I don't want a senior center replacing a very beautiful part of Bear Cove Park. I want to preserve the park. I don't want our parks to be considered a land bank for people who want to construct things. Please. The parks are a big part of why I moved to Hingham, and I want to keep them. Thank you.
Mr. Hansberger, thank you very much. Go to Diane DiNapoli.
Hi, Bill. Diane DiNapoli, 16 Gardner Street. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for taking my question. I just wanted to make sort of an overview comment. I think like many people, and I've expressed this before, I deeply understand the reason we need a better facility. I've taken some time the last month or so to tour many facilities, including Marshfield, which is often given as an example of the kind of center we would like to have in Hingham. And I think it's important to point out, Marshfield has several things that are very different than the proposed building. When we toured, we noticed most of their rooms could be used for multi-purpose. It can be a gym, it can be used for eating. It is not fixed as in some of our art rooms. That's something that the director stressed. You need to be flexible with all your spaces. Another thing I noticed that was very different, they had a media room that seats 25, but is on wheels. Every room, every seat in that room can be changed because she said you might need it for food. You might need it for a blood drive one day. Keep your rooms as flexible as possible. I also know their building is 2 stories, which has several benefits. She said one was it's more cost efficient to build. And secondly, it's easier for people with mobility issues as they have an elevator that's central to many of the key buildings, rooms they'd be using. Again, ours is very long, which can be challenging to walk from one end to another. And then last thing I noticed was, and she said this is essential, we don't have is a nursing station, is not included in our proposed building. The day we were there were 3 people waiting to get blood pressure taken. They were at the gym, they may have gotten faint or lightheaded. She said it's essential to have a place where people can come and get checked, and our building doesn't have that. And I thought that seems pretty important. So while I really am in support of a better center, I would just ask for a pause, taking no action tonight. Let's see if we can do and create a better center. We're so close, but you see the will of the people tonight. Are you going to be able to get a 2/3 vote at town meeting? Can we stop, do some edits, maybe get this across the finish line at the fall meeting, and really build a great center for our community and our seniors. Thank you.
Diane, thank you. I believe Ted Matthews had his hand up as well. Let's see if his hand is still up. Ted, go ahead.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Ted Matthews, 102 Hersey Street. I've been on the Bear Cove Park Committee for the better part of 15 years, I believe. I was going to keep my mouth shut until I saw Tom roll his eyes when Mr. Hornstra talked about capital and the use of capital in the town and what we're going through right now. So I will just keep my comments short. Bear Cove Park is not a great place for this because it's a beautiful place and we don't want to destroy 6 acres in the park. And then the second part is I think we could, I loved what Diane just had to say. There's plenty of alternatives. We should put a pause on this or, you know, try to find a different spot. I know Town Hall is not going to work. I know developing the ball field behind it's not going to work. Maybe Hitchcock Shoe would be a good place for it. But the plan in the park is really wrong for so many reasons. Is there a mechanism to recover the money that has been spent to this point if it fails at town meeting and fails at the ballot?
I don't believe there is. I mean, the money that's been spent for design was pursuant to a town meeting vote. I don't think this, we recover that money. It was from fund balance. Is that correct, Tom?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's my comments. I appreciate you taking the time for me.
Thank you. Anyone else on Zoom? Okay, no one else is on Zoom, so I'll return to the room. Go ahead, come on up. Oh, Joe Kelly. Yep, you go ahead. Welcome
Maureen
back.
Spillane. I live at 3404 Tuckers Lane in Hingham. I actually spoke the other night on Zoom. I just feel like I have to address a few issues. The issues about the birds and the trees and all that. I think everything you do in projects, and I know, like, for instance, Baker Hill in Hingham, used to be like a great big woodsy area with deer and birds, and everything was taken down to make these beautiful homes. The greater good is they have beautiful homes that people can live in. We're not taking the whole park at Bear Cove. We're taking a portion of the park. And it's going to be, if you look at where we're going to go, it's going to enhance the area. Another thing, the comment about the nurse, we do have a nurse at the senior center. She comes once a week to check blood pressures. Maybe she doesn't have an official room right now, but in the new center, she will have an official room. So I think there's a lot of positive things. The center we have now, we don't have enough room for programs. We have a waiting list for programs. And I just think the seniors deserve to have a good building. And we're not taking the whole park. We're not taking all the birds and everything. We're leaving enough room for them in other parts of the park. Thank you.
Thank you. I saw Joe Kelly's hand up. Let's go to Joe Kelly. Joe Kelly, go ahead. We're going to call on you.
Hey, thanks, everybody. I just wanted to make a quick comment about, I served on the Public Safety Building Committee.
Joe, just name and address. We all know you, but just for the record, please.
Sorry, Joe Kelly, 7 Independence Lane. Sorry about that. I know the rules. I slipped up there. So I served on the Public Safety Building Committee, and I currently serve on the HCAL Building Committee. And I work closely with some of the people that were on the Foster School. And I think one of the things that I think about when we look at these projects throughout the town is, does the town need these? Does this enhance the quality of life in town? And, you know, I literally just got home about 5 minutes ago before hopping on this meeting from a Boy Scout club meeting at the Public Safety Building. The Cub Scouts took a tour of the building, and you know, I hope everybody realizes the need that we had for that project. I hope everybody realizes the need that we have for this project. the need that we had for Foster School. And when I walked through that building with all the kids, everybody that worked there couldn't wait to tell me how much they loved that building and how meaningful it was that the town built this new public safety building for them. These are people that work for the town. These are our friends and neighbors. The school is the same exact story. You talk to people that live in the Foster School District, it's the same story. The teachers. You know who doesn't say that now? Senior citizens. The senior center today is deplorable as the fire and the police station were prior to the new public safety building. We owe ourselves a new senior center. This is something that's going to be an asset for the town for years to come. It's going to serve generations of people who aren't seniors yet. And when we do these things as a community, the community benefits. I don't know how anybody could be against a quality project like this. Every factor was considered, sites, we took everything into consideration. We have professional people that advised us. I would ask the select board to advance this project. This is the right project for the town of Hingham. Thank you.
Joe, thank you very much. I think we're ending it. Go ahead, you go ahead, ma'am, yeah.
Janice McPhillips, 17 Surrey Road, that's in World's End. Just a reality check on this. I opened my tax bill that came early in January, and our house was reassessed this year, and our taxes went up 48%. The first thing I thought of was, wow, that's a lot of money. And right now, we can afford that. My husband and I are retired. Stock market's been good, so we're all right. But what I thought of is, what happens to people who live in town who say, wow, I can't afford to live here anymore. I'm a senior citizen. My taxes just went up 48%. What do? I can't stay here. I personally am very torn by this. I appreciate all of the work that has been done on this for years. I serve on a town committee. You guys know I'm on the recycling committee. So I know what goes into this. I know all the work that's gone into the design and all of the debate that's gone on and all the environmental impacts and whatnot. So I appreciate all the work that's been done. I haven't made up my mind about how I feel about this. I have a few months, I guess, before we have to vote. But just a reality check, like I said, everybody got tax bills in the mail, and that was my experience. And I wonder how many people will say, I can't afford to live in this town anymore. It's too expensive. So that's my story. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the comments. Mr. Pont.
Dick Pont, 303 Linden Ponds Way, apartment 307. I sold my house in July and I moved to Linden Ponds. We lived at 3 Hollyhock Lane for 50 years. We supported every new school that was built. We supported the new fire station. We supported the new police station. We have supported everybody in town except for the silent majority. The majority of people in this town, 35%, are 60 and over. They've been underserved for years. When I mention to people that in other towns, that I live in Hingham, they ask me, why do you have such a small senior center that doesn't offer enough parking for the people that want to use it? It doesn't offer the programs that people want to be at. It doesn't offer very much at all. Isn't Hingham an affluent town? I would think that they would support their seniors. Hasn't happened. Well, I've supported everybody, and now I'm looking for your support. Please, please vote for a new senior center. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Anyone else in the room? See no more hands up on Zoom? Okay, all right. I appreciate everybody's comments, so Now the board will deliberate, and we will possibly call a vote and a motion, but let me start off tonight with Liz.
Excellent. Well, thank you for everyone's comments and feedback throughout this entire process, years and the last few months and this evening. It's an important discussion, and it impacts everybody in the community, so thank you. I do understand the concerns. Certainly, I also get a tax bill. I have one child in college and one ready to go. So I do understand the challenges that people are facing in terms of affordability and the uncertainty in our political environment right now. It can be nerve-wracking, and I think some people are shaken, and I get that, and I appreciate that. I keep coming back to the things that have happened in the past in this town where we haven't made investments in capital infrastructure, we haven't made investments in certain population groups, and we're paying for it. We all know foster school was more expensive because we didn't do it when it needed to be done. That's not the elephant in the room. I think everyone really acknowledges that. Certainly, you make the best decision you can with the information you have at the time. Hindsight is always a gift, 2020, and I think we have suffered from that. Certain decisions that have been made where we haven't made the necessary investments, whether it was the operating budget or our infrastructure projects. So, again, I keep going back to this was a planned capital project. It has been in the works for many, many years. It was noted in the master plan in 2021 that the 3 top priority capital projects for this town were foster school, the public safety facility, and a new senior center. We have done the first 2, and I think we are still on track to do the 3rd. Previous town meetings have approved moving forward with design, have approved moving forward with a facility off of Bear Cove Park Drive. We are not taking any portion of the actual park. And the select board goals for this year, we cited one of the primary goals was to invest in infrastructure, and this is the high priority project for this year. I do want to note, again, just going back to the concerns, we have been very aggressive about looking at other ways to generate revenue. And I think you've heard that in all of our meetings. Tuesday, we talked about the real estate transfer fee. This evening, we talked about disposing of town property that's underutilized. We are trying to be as efficient as possible, and we have maxed out all of the tax relief programs, and I think this board will continue to do that. So if there are people that are suffering, if there are seniors that are suffering, please reach out to us. We want to hear about it. There may be programs that will benefit you that maybe you haven't been able to take advantage of at this time. So I feel like I've repeated myself over the past several meetings, but I have been thinking about this very hard and I have read all of the letters that have come to this office, all of the emails. I appreciate everyone that has spoken up. I have considered all of the feedback quite seriously, but I am still coming back to, we made this commitment, and I don't think we need to go off track with making this investment in our infrastructure and our community.
Okay, Liz, thank you. Julie?
Thank you. First of all, I just want to note that I love information. We have a lot of information available on the town's website on the Center for Active Living page. The reason why I'm starting with that is because the documents that are on that page tell the story of the history of why we need a new senior center, why this location, what is planned for the new senior center, and why the design was made to accommodate those plans and those programs. So for anyone who is new to this topic, please take the time to learn about the Center for Active Living, and for anyone who wants to brush up on it, I just think that it's a great resource, and so I hope people can look at the website. I want to thank for everyone's engagement, those who advocate for a new Center for Active Living, those who come just with questions, those who don't support it for various reasons. And I just wanted to note that my expectation is that we will continue to have civil discourse as we go through the advisory committee process and the town meeting process. I want us to be able to talk to each other as a town. I want to remind everyone that we are all neighbors and that we need to take care of each other. And to that end, as Joe Kelly mentioned before, the town has had needs. We have had to rebuild schools, East, Middle School, Foster, and we also needed to build a new public safety facility. And now we need to take care of our seniors. And I want to live in a town where we take care of our seniors. And it's been demonstrated through the process that we need to build a new facility and why and where. So this is how we do it. We build this new senior center that meets their needs. So I'm in favor of it, and I hope that we can convince people to take care of our seniors now. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I just want to note, I've been the liaison to the Center for Active Living this past year. I was Joe Fisher for many years, and I kind of took over that role in May. And this project has absolutely consumed my life. I've worked on it. I work on it 7 days a week, and either through an email, a phone call, or speaking with residents about it. But I've spent a lot of time at the Center for Active Living, talking to seniors that use the current center, and the common denominator of all the discussions is that the current center is not adequately addressing their needs, and we need a new Center for Active Living. And I think, as Liz and Julie have pointed out, I've never looked at this as anything but a need. And I consider this to be as important as the building of the Foster School and the building of the public safety facility. It was just third in line based on what our plan was to tackle capital project, going back to predecessor boards, even before the three of us were on this board. As I said to one of the residents who commented on it, we did study Town Hall. We studied it for almost a year. The building committee did a phenomenal job really running it down and trying to make it work. Tom Carey in particular continued to push, even when his entire committee was telling him, we don't want it at Town Hall, it's not going to work. He continued to say, let's look at the opportunity to put a parking garage on Cronin Field. Well, the Rec Commission obviously raised legal objections to that, as did abutters. We talked about paving over, him and I talked about, could we pave over Haley Field, the Little League field? Well, the Little League board hated that idea, and the abutters didn't like that idea as well. We looked at other options at Town Hall. We looked at potential parking for the back of the building, and the reality is it didn't work. And it was discussed in multiple meetings throughout the year by the building committee, and I thought they did a really good job, addressing that issue and trying to make it work. In terms of this project, I would note, the slide that Tom had up there, we started a discussion where we anticipated this was going to cost $35 million. We're now down to 29. And when we're going through the bid process right now, I'm hopeful, as Dan has told me, that number might come down even more. And I think in this environment with construction costs and labor costs, that the type of building we're trying to build, that's a really, really good number. And I think the design team and Dan have done a really good job. Would I love to see it at 20? Absolutely. Would I love to see it at 15? Absolutely. But I'm hopeful it's going to continue to come down as we go through the bidding process. And in terms of the size, which I hear quite a bit about, the size of the building, the building is being built for future use. The population of our senior community is going to increase significantly over the next couple of years. But when the building came in at the size it was, and again, it was reduced 10%, I met with many leaders on the building committee. And I said, well, listen, if this is the size you're recommending, you need to come in and justify every square foot of this building to get my support on it. And we had a series of meetings throughout the summer, throughout the fall. The advisory committee has also had a series of meetings where they've talked about programming, utilization, what's going to go on in these spaces. And I think Jennifer has done an excellent job, and building committee and also residents who've helped in the building committee have done a great job getting information out about what's going to go on in this building. And, as I've gone through this entire process, if I said this previously, I'm going to say it again, I think about my own personal experience with my mother and my family. And my father passed away, my mother was by herself. my brother, sister, and I did a lot to keep her going. As she got older, into her 70s, her physical well-being wasn't what it once was. Her mental acuity wasn't what it once was. But the thing that really, really bothered my brother, sister, and I was the isolationism. She was all by herself. So we worked really hard to get her into a community, and it was the senior community where I know it helped extend her life. It made her extremely happy. It helped us in a lot of ways because we knew she could go to a place where she was going to be happy and she was with friends. And I'm not alone. I am not alone. I've spoken with significant amount of residents who have expressed similar stories to me about what they've gone through with their parents. And lastly, I'll end with this comment. But the sense of community was so important to her more than anything else. And lastly, about 2 weeks ago, I was in downtown, and I think Julie and Liz would agree with this, being on the select board, you talk to a lot of people, and people will come up to you, and they'll just ask you for a couple minutes, and I was in CVS, and I was in one of the aisles of CVS buying shampoo, and a resident came up to me, and she said, do you have a couple minutes to talk? And obviously I did, so she said, can I talk to you about the Center for Active Living? I said, sure. And she said, my husband and I have supported every single project in this town. We supported the e-school. We supported buying the water company. We supported Foster, public safety. We supported the override. And she said, my husband is now in his 80s, and I'm in my mid-70s. We need this project. We need this building. Please, Bill, do everything you can to try to get this passed. So, I am, as Liz and Julie are too, we are concerned about costs, very much concerned about affordability. We are trying to come up with other ways that we don't burden people's property taxes, real estate taxes, and we're going to continue to do that. But I'm supportive of this building, and I appreciate all the work that's gone into it. And it's something we've been doing for a decade. The building committee started their work in 2020 when they were constituted through a town meeting vote. But this is a discussion we've had for at least 10 years. So with that, I think I have consensus, and I would take a motion.
Why don't you make a motion, Bill?
I will, great. I'll make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article P, construction of Center for Active Living.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, everybody. Welcome to stay. We got some other stuff going on. Thank you. All right, next item, and if you're going to leave the room, I ask you to leave it quietly as possible so we can get on with our business. But thank you. Thanks, everybody, for being here. All right, next item on the agenda is agenda item 5, which is a preservation restriction for 181 North Street. I believe Emily Wentworth's going to lead this discussion, so maybe we can promote her and have her discuss this matter. Thanks, Emily. Okay. All right, we'll just wait till everybody leaves the room. I guess we're gonna wait. All right. Thank you. Good seeing you. Good seeing you.
Thank you.
All right, Emily, why don't you take it from here? Or Emily or Heidi, who's going to lead it? Heidi, going to lead it? Great. If you could unmute.
Unmute, Heidi.
Sorry, yeah, it's me, not Emily. I couldn't change my name until I was put on as a panelist.
No problem.
Or at least I couldn't figure it out. So, so we have 2 agenda items. Thank you for hearing me tonight. So it's the Benjamin Lincoln House and the Old Ordinary. I'll just give a little background on both, and then I'll jump to the Benjamin Lincoln House. So we have previously had preservation restrictions on both of these properties. What prompted us to do some revisions to them was the fact that the Old Ordinary and the Historical Society received CPC grant money from the 2025 annual town meeting, Article 21. Town meeting appropriated $600,000 to be used by the Historical Society for the campus improvements to the Old Ordinary. So that a condition of getting the grant funding is to have a preservation restriction in place. It's not always a contingency of getting the grant funding, but in these two cases, it was. So we looked at what was in place already, noticed that one of the outbuildings for the Old Ordinary was not on it, it wasn't there when it was originally done. It was moved to the property later. So it prompted us to, me and Emily Wentworth and Susan Murphy was a huge help. We went back and looked at what was in place, and we decided to do a few tweaks. So getting to the Benjamin Lincoln House, 181 North Street, the grantee on the previous preservation restriction was the select board. In talking to Susan Murphy, she suggested that it might be more appropriate for the historical commission to be the grantee. We decided that was a good idea. So these two agenda items are really more like housekeeping items. They're just to approve some minor changes to the preservation restrictions that we already had in place. So the major change is the grantee changing from the select board to the historical commission. So what that would mean going forward is that exterior changes to the building or anything that's listed in the preservation restriction as the baseline documentation for the building, it would be preserved. And so these are just revisions to what was already in place, and we're making them formal. After select board approval, the process would be to send them to the Massachusetts Historical Commission for their signature and approval. So the first one is the 181 North Street. And I don't know if Dick Orr is still in the room or not, but to answer his question about what's covered in the preservation restrictions, they can be customized to the specific property. So typically it's just all the exterior of the building, but what it would entail is like a second set of eyes on any exterior renovations. So for the Benjamin Lincoln House, because it's in the Lincoln Historic District, any exterior changes would need to be approved by the Historic Districts Commission under their guidelines and regulations, and also by the Historical Commission as the new grantee for the preservation restriction. So it's an extra layer of protection for the building. I don't know if you want me to go into the next one, or if you have any questions about the Benjamin Lincoln House first.
Let's take one at a time, so thank you. Liz, any questions?
So thank you, Heidi. I think this makes a lot of sense. I appreciate you bringing it forward. I just have a question, and maybe just as a novice here, but are there aspects of the interior that are also protected, or that you foresee that should be included?
So we didn't specify particulars for the Benjamin Lincoln House, but on the Old Ordinary, yes, we have included quite a bit of the interior. That's not typical for a preservation restriction, as per conversations I've had with the Massachusetts Historical Commission.
Right.
But we felt for that building, we felt it was important. But yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, it's customizable.
Great. Yes, I know that's not typical, but after going through the historic house tour, there are elements, right, of historic homes that, whether it's the well in the kitchen or the fireplace, that it would be nice to be able to preserve those things too within a reasonable way.
Exactly. I agree. And one other thing that we made a few changes to was in the exhibits. One of the exhibits explains minor changes that can be approved, and major changes that would require review wouldn't necessarily make it, change it. You could still make changes to the exterior, but it specifies what would be considered minor changes and major changes. So they'd still be, both these properties are in the Lincoln Historic District. They would have two boards looking at them at any changes. So like I said, an extra layer of protection for the
Great.
building.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your attention to this, and obviously the Historical Society are good stewards of these properties, but it's always a good idea to have it documented here, so thank you.
Great. Julie, any questions?
Thanks, Heidi. I just wondered if anyone from the Historical Society was also in this meeting, if they want to add anything to this article.
I haven't heard that anyone was, but I don't know if Art is able to see the other
Yeah,
participants.
it doesn't look like they're online. I would recall that Deirdre did mention to me that this was coming to us a couple months ago. She said, yeah, it's going to be coming before you. So we didn't get into detail about it because I was unaware, but it sounded like she knew about it and she was okay with it. Certainly don't want to put words in her mouth, but it seemed like she was comfortable with it.
Yeah, no, I knew that, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Julie. We, Emily Wentworth and I have met with the Historical Society on a number of occasions to talk about both of these preservation restrictions. And we met with members of their board as well. And they have signed off on the documents and are in favor of the changes that we're making. And we work closely with them, especially on the old ordinary, which I can get to next.
Great. I just wanted to make sure that they were comfortable with this
Absolutely.
restriction agreement. Thank you.
Any members of the public have any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I take a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend favorable action. I make a motion to accept a preservation restriction in the form attached hereto from the Hingham Historical Society, Inc. for the property located at 181 North Street for the preservation of historic resources of the town of Hingham in the public interest pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 184, Section 32, and to authorize the chair of the select board to execute said preservation restriction.
Second.
All those in favor, Julie?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. That takes us to item 6 on the agenda, which is preservation restriction for 21 Lincoln Street. Okay, Heidi, go ahead.
Okay, so the difference with this preservation restriction is that it does include some of the interior, actually quite a bit of the interior, and it's all specified in the baseline documentation. There's a description of the property and all of the outbuildings that are included, the garden and the portico that's in the garden as a decoration. So it really is very specific on what is included and what is not included. So they made some changes to the interior. They made some ADA accessible restrooms and a small kitchen. And so the new features are not included, but the period interior features are that are very historic. So that's the difference here. And again, any exterior changes would have to go through the grantee, the Historical Commission, and the Historic Districts Commission. So the Historical Commission would look at the proposed changes, and decide whether it is in line with the preservation restriction, and the Historic Districts would make sure that the proposed changes were in line with their regulations and guidelines.
Thank you. Julie, any questions?
No, I just want to state that the renovations that have been ongoing at Old Ordinary are fantastic, thanks to a grant from the state and also from the Community Preservation Act. So I just want to commend the Historical Society for their stewardship of this property and making it ADA accessible and getting it in really good shape. And I'm excited about that project, and this grant restriction, or this restriction agreement, rather, is important to have in place, but it also allows the reimbursement for Community Preservation Act funds for this project. So I'm happy we're getting this done.
Great, thank you. Liz?
Agree. No other questions.
Yeah, I agree. It's a fantastic, it's a treasure to have these buildings, Lincoln House and Old Ordinary, and the way that they're shared with, children, with adults, with visitors to our community. It speaks volumes of Deirdre's leadership and the entire Historical Society Board. So thank you for all you do. With that, I take, any questions about this from the public? I don't think there are, but any hands up? All right, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept a preservation restriction in the form attached hereto from the Hingham Historical Society Incorporated for the property located at 21 Lincoln Street for the preservation of historic resources of the town of Hingham in the public interest pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 184, Section 32, and to authorize the chair of the select board to execute said preservation restriction.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Heidi, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good seeing you. All right, that takes us to item 7, which is appointments and/or reappointments. So I'd make a motion to appoint Declan Bolin to the Massport Community Advisory Committee for a term ending June 30th, 2029.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is public comment for items that were not on the agenda. Any resident have any public comment this evening? Seeing none, we turn to Town Administrator Select Board reports. And Tom, since you're on Zoom, I'll start with you.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Art?
Nothing to add this evening. Thank you.
Julie?
I have nothing to add, thank you.
Liz?
Nothing to add.
Just want to wish everybody a good weekend. Hope everybody got through the week okay. On Monday, Katie Dugan, our Assistant Town Administrator of Finance, texted me about a meeting we had to reschedule, and she said, "Going to be a long week, Bill." And I'm like, she was right about that. It's been a long week, and it's not over yet, so we'll get through tomorrow. All right, with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm an aye. We're out. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
We recognize that taking time to visit, call, or email our town departments to report issues in Hingham doesn't always fit your schedule. Are you looking for an easier way to communicate with the town? Well, now there's an easier way. With the My Hingham mobile app, you can submit service requests or gain information with just a few taps of your phone. To get started, simply download the My Hingham app from the Apple App Store or Google Play, or simply scan our QR code to get the access to the app that's best for your phone. Once you've opened the app, select the Submit a Service Request button. From there, you can choose the type of request you want to submit, whether it's a pothole, a fallen tree, or something else. You'll then be prompted to take a photo of the issue and provide a brief description. You can also use the app to track the status of your issue and receive updates. Using My Hingham puts immediate access to town resources in the palm of your hand, including calendars of meetings and events, agendas for upcoming meetings, building permit filing options, online bill payment options, information about our boards, committees, departments, and services. So why wait? Download the My Hingham app today and report issues and get information on town government with ease.